My name is Gabriel and I'm a carnival technician. I've been involved in notting-hill-carnival for the past 47 years, and I've contributed to notting-hill-carnival every single year. Because of my input and that sort of angle that I was coming from, I really haven't faced any difficulties. Obviously I've heard stories about other mask makers and having problems, but I haven't had any problem. It was fortunate that I've been in the right place, doing the right things, and always been accepted. I'm not really surprised at the growth. I mean, it's nice that another generation is coming into Carnival and contributing something different. And there's quite a lot of young designers. I mean, I remember when I came in, there was just a few. I could sort of name them on one hand, but now there's loads and loads of designers doing their own thing. It's nice to see they're getting involved, but they need to take some time to study the art and learn more the technique. It's a joy. It was like if it was yesterday. It's so clear in my mind, that first experience. At that time, photograph was my thing. I was enthusiast. So somebody mentioned to me that there was going to be a carnival at Notting Hill. And obviously, as a trainee, you hear carnival, you want to be there. So I head down to Notting Hill, and you jump off the train, you walk under the Acklam Road, and that was like the heart of Carnival at that time. And the first band that I saw was Ebony. Ebony coming up Portobello Road. I've contributed to notting-hill-carnival in many different ways as a document and kept an archive on the Notting-hill-carnival. And then I went on to playing pan with Ebony. So I played pan from the early 70s till I think about 83 with Ebony Steel Band as one of the key sort of person in the band, members. And then I left Ebony. I went on to form Stardust Mass and Pan. Then did that for how many years, and then I decided I want to contribute even more. And because I'm a trained engineer, I was able to manipulate metal and material, that sort of material. And there was the pioneers, the maskmen, them used to work with wire, and apparently the wire bending was one of the key skills in mask making. And I thought, well, I want to do that. So I just threw my hat in the ring. When I started, I had a band called Misty. After I finished with Stardust, I started another band called Misty. And that's where, most of this stuff that I'm doing sort of really showed itself. And I started that with my late wife, Lynette Gabriel. So there we are. It's very emotionally, very. It's deep. So when you hear people talking things, you try to educate them and point them in the right direction. I mean, I must say, a lot of people show me respect and they listen, so, I sort of feel good about it. But it is very emotional when you're talking about Notting-hill-carnival. Well, when we're talking about the technique and materials and stuff, I chose not to use modern material. I decided I'm going to stick to traditional material like wire bending, papier mache, using cane and stuff like that. And I just felt that was very important that I use that, because a lot of the young designers doesn't see that as a viable material. Obviously, to work it's very time consuming. They just want to stick some glue and stick their feathers or whatever on. But I want to create art, and I want them to learn that part. I want them to learn about the wire bending, the formula, the technique, the material, learn about the material. Most of them have the basic skills, but they haven't had to apply it in any way. Carnival Village has been doing for the past couple of years is having some open days, easy access. There were no charge, so that the young designers, the people who wanting to get involved can come along, get a taster, get involved, and if they feel that they need more intensive sort of advice, they could contact us directly, and we will set up a program so that they can get involved and learn the skills. Someone coming to my workshop, or they sort of read about me on Google, whatever it is, and they want me to produce a piece to them. Now, I must say, I do many different events. I do Diwali, I do a lot of cross-cultural projects. So I do Diwali, I do things like Manchester Day. I mean, lots of these are sort of float events. They need big pieces, they need the big 5-meter pieces to take on the road. Carnival needs stuff that people could wear and jump around and dance around in. But what I've introduced into Carnival, especially notting-hill-carnival, is a bigger piece as a float. Because again, remember, I don't know if you remember, we had this Thames Festival, Night Festival. They needed things like a float. It needed to be lit up. So Carnival is just a small part. Right. Again, it's just the technique that they use. And don't sort of ask me too in depth about the technique, but I'd sort of read a little bit, because what happened, I'm a new kid on the block. I mean, I've been around for 47 years, but all my contribution took up time, right? But this sort of wire bending, this technique, this sort of style that I'm producing now, I consider myself a new kid on the block, because when I think about the elders, I knew most of the sort of mask makers from, as I say, the 70s. I mean, most of them are past, so I'm getting a bit worried, but most of them are past, and it's just left. I mean, with the wire bending and this sort of technique, I'm the only one who's doing it. I don't really have time to go too deep into the culture, so, but I'll sort of study a little bit, just enough to be able to pay tribute to the piece itself and the art and the contribution that the elders did or produced, As a technician working in this field and sort of like producing this sort of stuff, it's very peaceful. And again, when I decided to come into this sort of arena and producing this sort of stuff, I was fortunate to meet Lynn. And Lynn knew more about Carnival than I did. So we sort of mesh. And we used to work in a nice, peaceful way, I know how much time you come to meetings here, you see Lynn in the corner there, either creating or painting or whatever it is. I'll be over there bending my wire. And it's such a peaceful sort of thing to do. It keeps you sane. Again, if you're looking at it as more than just the carnival, you're making a definite contribution to the carnival, but after carnival, the piece has another life. And it just gives you that sense of fulfillment and peacefulness.